In my previous video, The Reuses of Kamen Rider Geats, I showed off 3 CGI models in the series that were repurposed into new riders. However, I didn't go into detail about which specific parts were reused or how you can spot these similarities. This follow-up video aims to address those issues by providing a more clear breakdown of how I know these models are reused, as well as tips for spotting reused CGI elements in the future. Beiroba's rider form is reused from Kamen Rider 01 Breaking Mammoth and the Giegers, and this one is the easiest one to spot if you know where to look. For example, if we look at the shoulders, then we will see how it still has the same robot detailing as the original. This also applies to the ankles. Another dead giveaway are the hands, as they both share the same amount of finger joints as well as grooves indented into the hands. Another thing is the belt strap, which is still the same with the exception of the laser driver added on. You can even see the grooves on both sides of the belt strap. There's still a lot more about this model that I can point out, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to go on to the next one. Kagura's rider form is reused from the frog mecha from Kamen Rider Shinobi, and for a form that had a screen time of exactly 26 seconds, it is the most significantly altered design out of the 3 reused models. To identify the similarities, I focused on a specific image of the frog mecha as a reference point. One key detail I noticed was the presence of paws underneath the frog mecha's legs. This detail stood out to me and I used it as a marker to compare with Kagura's model. However, I came across a massive problem. The Kagura model didn't have these paws underneath the foot, and just when I was about to give up and admit this model was original, I decided to try again and rewatch Kamen Rider Shinobi to check again. And what I found was that the Shinobi frog mecha normally didn't have these paws at all. It was an animation error, as when the Shinobi mecha transformed into its frog model, they forgot to remove the hands underneath. And when I found that out, I decided to look at these 2 models once again, and what I found was that Kagura still has the cylinder hole thingy in its mouth, as well as having the 2 rings around the cylinder, and having the same ball joints on both of the models. Also, the legs are the same, but it still has the robot-shaped foot with the frog foot added to the front. And the last thing I want to point out is the claws, as they still have the same shape, just changed slightly to alter them a bit. Another that is easy to identify is Kyun's form. Here the similarities are especially clear in the joints connecting the front legs to the torso, and the back legs too, but it's not as easy to spot. The paws on all the legs are also quite the same, with the exception of yellow ridges added to the claw and extra armor added to the back. A neat detail I want to point out is that on the back legs you can still see the shape of the gemstone design, albeit without the gemstone. Also, the angular armor is still the same, and since we are on the topic of CGI riders, let's include one that is pretty recent. Kamen Rider Gachard Back King Robo's wild mode is heavily modified from King of Author of Kamen Rider Saber. If you look at the abs, thighs, gauntlets, and even hands, then you will see how unchanged it is from King of Author. And that would be all the CGI riders that are retooled from other CGI models. And now I will explain why they might have reused these models instead of creating new ones. And firstly, it's because creating a brand new model from scratch requires a lot of time, effort, and budget. By repurposing existing assets and incorporating slight modifications, studios can achieve high quality designs without overextending their resources. And the biggest major factor is that these designs only appeared for like what, 3 to 1 episode? So it doesn't make sense that the production team will spend that many hours on a brand new model just for the character to be in 1 episode. For those interested in spotting reused CGI models themselves, there are a few key strategies to keep in mind. First, pay attention to base structures like joints, claws, or belts, as those are often retained. Second, look for slight modifications such as added textures, armor pieces, or new color schemes, which are used to mask reused elements. Finally, observe the animation's movement, as reused models often share the same rigs and motion pattern. In conclusion, I have been staring at PNGs for 4 straight hours to tell you guys all the similarities that I have found, and I think I might have died a little bit inside, not gonna lie. But enough of that. I hope you enjoyed this very niche topic. Now I'm gonna go work on my other video scripts while recovering from staring at PNGs for 4 fucking hours.